Okay, people, I'm sure that you've heard the times without number that you should prepare for your F1 visa interview, because the F1 visa interview is what finally seals your study abroad dream. But maybe you're probably wondering, where are you supposed to start from, or what questions are you supposed to prepare with? In today's video, that is exactly what we'll be talking about. Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. On this channel, I provide tips on how you can move from whatever country you are to your destination abroad. So if you are new here, basically check through my video. I am definitely sure that you find something helpful for you and for your journey. And may I also ask that you subscribe to the channel, that you join the Besties squad, and all you need to do is to press that subscribe button down below, and voila, you are already a bestie. In today's video, I'll be walking you through questions that the visa officer would ask you in 2025. So if you are preparing to go for your visa interview, then I will say watch this video to the end. I'm going to try as much as possible to make it really short. I'm not going to provide answers to the questions except when necessary. And if you are seeking answers to the question, I'm going to upload a playlist here where I talked about answers to like some specific interview questions, so you can look at that video, you can watch that video for the answer. But today I'm going to make a video specifically for people that are looking for questions for their F1 visa interview, people that don't even know where to start from, people that just need access to the questions so that they can prepare themselves for the F1 visa interview. So without any further ado, we will jump right into the video. So before I talk about the questions, I need you to know that first of all, the F1 visa interview is a student visa, and the visa officer wants to know three things. First of all, they want to know your intent for studying in the US. They want to know your financial capability, and thirdly, they want to know if you intend to return to your home country. So some of the questions that they will be asking you will majorly fall under this three category. Again, your intent to study in the US, your financial capability, and your intent, probably whether you intend to study in whether you intend to return back to your home country after studying. So when you are answering this question, make sure that you are sounding convincing enough, because sometimes you might actually be a legit student, right? But if you are unable to state your story in a way that makes sense to the visa officer, you might not get the visa. While you are crafting your answer, always remember that you are ineligible for the visa until you convince the visa officer otherwise. Yeah, I'm going to just jump into the questions right now. So the first question is, why are you going to the US? You need to be able to let them know why you are going to the US. Again, this question is related to your intent of going to the US. Do you want to go and study? At what university are you going to study? What city is the university located? And so on and so forth. The second question is, why do you want to study in the US? I am sure that you know the reason why you want to study in the US. So go ahead and highlight part of the reasons why you want to study in the US. The number three question is, why did you choose this university? Beyond talking about the school ranking, you should be able to find other reasons as to why you are interested in going to this university. I know that majority of you just want to scream the school ranking, but something I want you to know is that like visa officers are kind of already tired of hearing school ranking. So look for other things, like what faculty stood out to you, what exactly about the school stood out to you. Is it that the research, is there something about the school that actually catches your interest and that is making you want to choose this school over the other schools that you got admitted into? Even when you want to talk about ranking, just make sure that you're not crafting your response in such a way that it sounds generic. Now, the fourth question is, how will you finance your education? Now, at this point, if you got scholarship, you can feel free to highlight your scholarship. If you got graduate assistantship, grants, and so on, feel free to highlight all of those. And I would say that if you are self-sponsoring yourself, please be honest. I feel like that is also another part of the visa interview. Please be honest. If it is your parents or family members that are sponsoring you, this is the part where you talk about it. What are your plans after graduation is the next question. Now, this is the time for you to tell the visa officer what you plan to do after graduation. I know I've spoken about it in one of my video talking about the OPT, that the OPT is an extension of the F1 visa, and the OPT gives you like an opportunity for you to work after you have finished your study. Now, although there's the OPT, although the OPT is existing, the visa officer do not want to hear you talk about the OPT. Just tell them what you plan to do. Even when you know that you want to do your OPT, tell them what you plan to do after your OPT, because technically the OPT is still an extension of your F1 visa. Now the sixth question is, why did you choose this specific field of study? I am sure that we both know, or no, I don't know, you know why you chose your study. So please feel free to highlight it. What do you want to do? Part of it is, what do you want to do with the program? Then the seventh question is, have you been to the US before? If yes, what was the purpose of your visit? If you have been to the US before, they always have a record. So be honest and say, yes, you have been to US. Yes, I've been to the US in 2018. I came on a visiting visa. That's a way for you to answer that question. Number 7 is, what's your academic background? If you're an undergraduate student, state your academic background. If you're a graduate student, state your academic background. Number 9 is, did you apply to other universities? How many of them gave you admission? Also be sincere with this question. Did you apply to any other university? How many of them gave you admission? Number 9 is, who is sponsoring your education, which is kind of like similar to how will you finance your education. If you got a graduate assistantship, particularly if you do not have a deficit. I know when I went to the embassy, I did not have a deficit. So if I was asked that question, I wasn't asked, but if I was asked that question, I was going to say that my scholarship and my assistantship actually covered everything that I need for my education. So technically, the department that gave me assistantship is the one sponsoring my education. Number 11 is, what is your sponsor's occupation and annual income? As simple as this question might be, I would want you to know your sponsor's occupation. I want you to know their annual income, because they actually ask. Even if it's your uncle, ask them, what is your occupation, what is your annual income? And something I'm going to say is that with the visa, I mean, why they ask that question is they are trying to see, particularly if the person that is sponsoring you is not your parents, they are trying to see a correlation with this person actually be able to sponsor you. Because for instance, if your sponsor is earning the exact money or is earning lower than what the money that is required for your tuition is, I feel like it kind of raises like a questionable scenario. So if you are asked that, already know your sponsor's occupation. Number 11 is, how did you get this scholarship? I know I was asked this question when I went for my visa interview. The visa officer specifically asked me how I got my scholarship. Feel free to tell them how you got your scholarship, how I got my financial aid rather. It might be scholarship, it might be financial aid, because I feel like most of the time we kind of like use scholarship for the general term, but scholarship is a form of financial aid. So I'm going to rephrase the question to be, how did you get your financial aid? Sometimes if it's like assistantship you got, they might ask you, how did you get your assistantship? How did you get your scholarship? How did you get your grants? Then another question is, why not your home country? They will ask you, if you are from Nigeria, why not Nigeria? Why are you going to the US? Make sure you have a solid answer and a convincing reason, a comparative analysis of the US and Nigeria, or whatever home country you are watching me from. Make sure you have a comparative analysis of both country and why you are choosing to go to the US. Number 13 is, are you planning to work in the US while studying? If you got an assistantship, of course, you'll be working. So let them know. But let them know that, first of all, your visa limits you from working off campus. So if you'll be saying you'll be working in the US, let them know that you plan to work on campus if you got an assistantship. Even if you don't get an assistantship, if you plan to get a job on campus, you can let them know that you plan to get a job on campus. Number 14, what are your study plan? Again, there's a way for you to look at your study plan. So go on your school portal. I've made a video on that. I can link that up on the screen. Go to your school portal and find out your study plan. What will you do if your visa is rejected? This is very tricky. Let the visa officer know what you would do if your visa is rejected. Number 16 is, how did you hear about this university? If it was referred to you, if you were doing like an extensive search, let the visa officer know how you got to know about the university that you're applying to. Honestly, if it was like you did research, it even gives the visa officer like an opportunity to say, oh my god, this person actually is an extensive researcher. The next one is, who is your academic advisor? By now you are a student. The visa officer expects that you already know some certain things about the university, so you should be able to know the name of your academic advisor. In fact, I advise people, when you're going to the embassy, know at least 2 or 3 courses that you'll be taking, and know at least 2 or 3 names of your faculty members. Then the last question is, where will you stay during your studies? Do you plan to stay on campus? Let them know. Do you plan to stay off campus? Let them know. So that concludes the end of the questions that you should expect in 2025. Sometimes they are still asking the same question, but they might ask it in another variable. For instance, who is sponsoring your education and how will you finance your education is the same thing, just being asked in separate ways. So once you understand the intent, once you are asked the question, you can actually categorize, okay, what part is this question coming from. Again, I'm going to tell you that the visa officer wants to know why, the intent of you studying in the US. Second is your financial capability, and third is whether you plan to return back to your home country. So that concludes the end of this video. If you like the video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. If you have any question or any comment, feel free to catch me in the comment section. Let us have a discussion, and I wish you all the best with your F1 interview. Always remember that the visa officers are not God. They are just visa officers, and as long as you're able to express yourself, eventually you will get your visa. Okay. And also, something else I want you to know is that you can always ask them to repeat themselves if you do not hear them. So you can feel free to be like, oh, excuse me, please could you repeat yourself? So I wish you the best in your visa interview, and I cannot wait to hear your success story. And I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.